Jupiter and Indiantown, Martin County's Heritage Station.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the program host and guest and are not necessarily those of this station, management, staff, and sponsors. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time now for the Crown Car Care Show. Call in with questions and comments, 220-9788, 220-WSTU. Now, here's your host.
Last week, we started with Tesla and ended with Tesla, and I think we're going to have a continuation this week. The
drama continues.
And that would be February 28th, the last day of the month, 2024.
Yes.
And it's a fine afternoon. A little bit hotter today here in South Florida.
Yes.
World headquarters. We have a little bit of heat wave today. Not much, though. It's not super hot.
No.
Nothing that we can't handle, us residents of Martin County, Florida, which is where we're broadcasting from.
Yes.
And we're so glad every one of you is listening. I'll let you know that we have a fabulous two-shop business, Crown Car Care, located on Cove Road in Stuart, and one on Martin County Highway in Palm City. So two locations. Our website is crowncarcare.net, and you can find our phone number there. If you have a phone, you can type in Crown Car Care and it'll come up. Look at our Google business reviews. Check us all out. And if you like what you see and like what you hear, I urge you to make an appointment. Maybe for the first oil change or an inspection, or maybe there's something that's not working quite right on your car and you want an opinion and like maybe a repair.
Sticky window or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sticky window. Like I've just walking into world headquarters, I was introduced by a gentleman that said he was bringing his car in, and he knew that I was coming to do the radio show, and that was one of the influences of why he brought it.
Yes.
Or is coming to us.
Uh-huh.
They come out of the woodworks everywhere, these people, and everyone loves automobiles. It started with Henry Ford, and we have a great story today about Henry Ford. Frank will tell it to us.
We'll get to it.
We also have a great show in line. I'll give you a rundown. We
All
usually don't get to everything, but that's kind of the way it is.
Well, yeah.
We're going to talk about the maintenance on a Model 3.
Yes.
Very interesting. What kind of maintenance? It'll give you a snapshot of what's entailing on all their models. By the way, the Model 3 is basically the same car as the Model Y.
Correct.
And the Model S is basically the same car as the Model X. So they basically have two vehicles with different body configurations on them.
Right.
Basically the same. And there's different configurations for the electric motors and the power and the range and all that. But two vehicles mainly.
Guess what they've got coming out next year?
What's that?
The Roadster. The refresh on the Roadster.
Oh, really? Because they don't really sell that.
Well, that was one of their initial vehicles.
Yes.
Capture some interest and some excitement, which it did.
It did.
And
I believe it went in outer space.
He took his personal Roadster and sent it out to deep space. Yes.
So that's nice. I didn't know that they were reintroducing that.
Yes, next year.
So we'll talk about some maintenance on the Teslas, what entails. We were going to talk about my training, which we never got to last week, really. I never got to talk about some hard and fast training that I went to up in Massachusetts. We're going to talk about, if we have time, the two interesting competitive advantages that many say Tesla has 10 years plus on the competition. And that is unboxing, which I suspect most don't know what it is. I didn't know what it was till I researched it, as well as their casting technology.
Yes.
Two big ideas that they're winning big on. And that will be our show for today. If you like what you hear, stay tuned. We'll break right into it. Any news, and on the news front, you can talk to us about,
Frank? Some interesting items, Todd. One item here is the Honda. They have a product, a SUV called a CRV.
Yes.
Which is going to be offered with a fuel cell, but it will be sold only in California.
We've seen that before, only California. GM started with their EV1 in California. That's what started the electric revolution back in the 90s.
Yeah, 30 years ago.
EV1.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
And let's see now, EV is Apple's EV is winding down, which offers reprieve to Tesla and other Detroit rivals. Interesting.
Here's another bit.
So it means they're kind of stepping aside. They're seeing the pressure.
The pressure's on.
Yeah.
And because Tesla's had a good 10 years over everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he doesn't just use technology, he develops it himself.
Right.
And there's a difference there.
Oh, big difference.
And 10 years is a lifetime in that in that arena of technology and
Yes.
developing new. I heard another thing too, and I was listening to an interview with somebody who was talking about all the advantages that Tesla has, which are some of the unboxing and casting. He was
Mhm.
talking about a new line that for self-driving taxis or self-driving cars that they're going to be selling commercially. I don't know. I haven't poked around at it. I haven't
Mhm.
researched it, but I
Mhm.
understand there is going to be another model that you as the consumer won't be able to buy.
So
Isn't that interesting? A commercial,
commercial unit only.
because you know they have the semi trucks or the tractor trailers that they use.
Right.
I wonder if any of the vendors that they do outsource to, and they do,
Mhm.
and we're going to talk about that with some of their competitive advantage. It's different. It's a software competitive advantage. Do they use any of the Tesla? Does he demand that they use the Tesla tractor rigs to bring the parts in and out? I wonder if he did. I would
Ah.
demand it.
Yeah.
I'll make him do it, or else I'm not buying it from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I believe, and we'll get into that. I believe Henry Ford had a story where he demanded things of their suppliers. Wasn't that true?
He did. So Henry Ford, didn't make everything in house.
Mhm.
So he had a company that would make starter motors for
Mhm.
his Model T.
Yep.
So he gave them a blueprint of the wooden box.
And that is odd.
right. And he gave them very specific instructions on how to construct the box, what it was supposed to be made of, what kind of wood to use, where the holes were to be placed, what kind of screws to use to assemble the box.
Sounds like he had another reason for that.
maybe an ulterior motive.
Yeah. Continue on. It gets better.
So after the box was delivered with the starter motors, they would take the starter motors out of the box, disassemble the box, and the wood from that box became the floorboards of the Model T.
Ingenious.
Yes.
A real vertical integrator he is or was.
Yeah. I love that story.
Yes. Yeah. Ford is, Ford's got the EVs. Ford has the F-150
Mm-hmm.
and they've got the Mach E.
Mm-hmm.
I know they had, I don't think they make it anymore. It was a Focus type vehicle. It was a European model that they had that was electric. I don't think it went over real well due to range.
And the Maverick is what, a hybrid, right?
A hybrid, and that's
Mhm.
genius.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Tesla come out with a hybrid. I really would.
Me too.
I think it would, but it has to be the Tesla way
Yes.
that would complement, not cannibalize their existing customer base.
Right.
They
Yes.
would draw more people in.
Right.
I believe they would.
Uh-huh.
And it would be available on some of the existing models, like maybe have a hybrid Model 3 or a hybrid Model S.
Mhm.
I could see it.
Mhm.
And I see no reason that it couldn't fit.
Talk about an extended range product.
Yeah. And don't have it so the battery or the generator is directly connected to the drive chain, just strictly as a battery charger,
Correct.
which is what the Volt was, by the way.
Which is what the the trains.
Been doing it for years.
Yes.
It was leader in that, General Motors.
That's correct.
The electromotive.
The electromotive, they actually was a diesel.
That was nothing more than a generator.
Mhm.
And it was really, there was batteries on it, but it was almost a direct link up. They were just using the juice directly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think with the sensitivity of circuit boards and the way it's being controlled with the preciseness, you can't have a direct feed of juice. You have to have that cushion of the battery.
Mhm.
So it can, when it
Meter it
does
to-
come out, it's metered at a consistent flow.
Right.
Just unlimited juice going to an electric motor. The locomotives were just gigantic electric motors that
Right.
were old school permanent magnet,
Yeah.
just big old things that just sucked up juice, and it really, I guess, didn't matter. And if it did, it didn't matter anyway.
Right.
Right.
Just make it bigger.
Just make it bigger
Yeah.
and make more electricity.
Yeah.
Whereas the battery really is a storage device, but it's also a regulation device
Sure.
for consistency of the flow.
Mm-hmm.
and that can be done with a hybrid type device.
I
Like I
would
said, the Chevy Volt was that's what that was.
Sure.
It generated electricity and
Smart.
stored it better. It wasn't a direct link, but in the infancy, it was developed by General Motors with the bailout money,
Mm-hmm.
and their failure was the battery. There was a dismal failure of the battery and the replacement of it, and premature failure. It was just horrible.
Yeah.
I know somebody, it was like 16,000 just for a replacement battery.
Ugh.
That wasn't even labor to put it in. It was horrible. And you still had the same car when you were done, which wasn't that good. It was okay.
Right.
But compared to what you got, take the 15 and dump it down on a used Tesla or something.
There you go.
Or another good product that Chevy has is the Chevy Bolt. Not bad. Still legacy technology. It's not cutting edge, but it works.
Mhm.
I'm not knocking any of the other electric vehicles, but I will tell you, Tesla is light years ahead on everything.
Yes.
And it's not my opinion. It's everyone's opinion. And if you're not having that opinion, you're not looking at the data right.
Yeah,
You're being
point.
biased.
Mhm.
It's fact.
Right.
This isn't it's my opinion, but it's many people's opinion, but it's opinion based off the scientific inquiry business or model
Mhm.
that we're looking at the facts and making real analysis and coming to conclusions that are based off a scientific method, not opinions that are strictly based off politics and things that humans do
Right.
to put bias into a assessment of something. The assessment of Tesla is they're good, they're a winner, and I can tell you, I've trained on them, I own one, hands down, it's a winner. So,
Cool.
yeah, you want to talk about my training center?
Yes.
Let's talk about that. Where I went. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I was up for a whole week in a part of Massachusetts that I can't say the name on. Worcester. And it was cold. It was snowy and blizzardy. First night was 6 inches of snow. I was picked up in 4-wheel drive hybrids because they had to transport us. Interestingly enough, we didn't take Teslas the first day. They were old Ford Escape 4-wheel drives. I was picked up in a Toyota 4-wheel drive hybrid.
Okay.
But it was real. You really had to have a real off-road vehicle.
Yeah.
And they were. So that's what I was greeted with.
Nice.
Transported back to the training center, which was in an older building. It was a beautiful place. A lot of history there. It was cold. There was 2 heat pumps that pumped one of the areas, and the other was an old gas furnace. And I will tell you, the heat pumps couldn't keep up with the cold. So we were wearing our coats. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Right.
And the first day, we were introduced to some classroom time, and we were gone over many of the things about Tesla that makes them unique. I registered as a repair and vendor with their parts department. So that was one of the first things we did. So I'm now able to buy parts from Tesla as a real repair guy.
Of course.
We saw slides on different functions of and designs of Teslas and why they're that way. The electric motors, why some are permanent magnet, why some are inductive. Who invented the inductive AC motor was the name of the company, Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why it's named Tesla.
That's right.
And does anyone out there know why the symbol of the Tesla logo is what it is?
Yes.
It's a cross section of the inductive windings on the motor.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Coincidentally, it looks like a T.
Yeah, but it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not many people know that.
No.
We do though, because
Yes.
you listen to the Crown Car Care Radio Hour.
That's
sponsored by Crown Car Care here in Martin County, Florida, with your 2 hosts, Frank and Todd. Yeah, it's Frank and Todd, not Todd and Frank.
No, in any order, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But you're the leader of the gang.
We think so.
Yes, I think so too.
But then I think you're the leader sometimes. My mom does. She loves you.
Your mom's a sweetheart.
So that was the first half a day, and then the second half of the day, they brought in a Model 3. It was a 2022. It was a 23, excuse me. So a brand new one. And we started taking it apart. It had already been partially disassembled, and we were shown all the sub-assemblies, how they work, how to service them, and what to do. Intense. There are special tools that you have to use to take them apart. We learned about the penthouse.
Yes.
The penthouse is a special place in every Tesla.
Aha.
There's an entrance fee. The entrance fee is you have to have a 5-lug E10 inverted socket to take the bolts out. Special bolt invented by Tesla that keeps the general public out of the area of the penthouse, which is highly electric, lethal, and you need to know what you're doing. So they put a security in a special bolt.
I think that's brilliant.
That's
Yeah.
what they did.
Yeah.
Yes. You got to have it or else you'll cook. And
Woo!
it's on top. Basically, it's on top of the battery, which ends up in the back, underneath the back seat.
Okay.
It's a raised area, and that's why they call it the penthouse.
Okay.
And it kind of looks like an apartment. And inside of that is the battery controller, the thermal fuse, the contactors, and a little bit other electronics that are critical to the operation. But the inverters, by the way, are at the motor. Oh, there's also the charging inverter is there too. So that would be AC to DC inverter. Okay. But each electric motor on all the Teslas. Now, here's something that is just a brilliant idea. Since the first Model S, okay, Tesla calls the unit the power unit, or the PU, which is the power unit. That's the electric motor and the gear set, the gear reduction that happens at each drive unit. Okay, so we have to knock down the speed of the electric motor is upwards of 15,000 RPMs.
Oof.
Very fast.
I guess so.
But very consistent and very accurate.
Mm.
So it's a consistent. That's why they're so smooth when you give them gas. And it's reduced through a gear set, 3 gears. So it ends up being like a 1.8326, I believe, is what the final gear ratio is on this, but on almost all their units, except for, I believe, the Plaid, which is their higher performance one. I believe that has a little different ratio, but for the most part, they're the same. So that's at each engine or at each wheel. If you have 2 motors or 3 motors or 1 motor. So 1 motor would be in the back on a Model 3.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a Model 3 with 2 motors, which would be 1 in the back, 1 in the front. And then you can get a Model 3 with 3 motors, which is the Plaid. That has a motor in the back at each axle and then 1 up front. So 3 motors, just like the Cybertruck is available also with 3,
Correct.
I believe 2 and 1.
Correct.
Right. But here's the beauty of it. Every single one of those inverters has the same exact casting as any other one. So you could take an inverter off a Model 6, which is mounted at the power unit or the electric motor, and that's the thing that converts the DC to AC for the motor.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, it's not going through a inverter up top like a Toyota or Prius does.
Right.
It takes the DC juice directly from the battery and goes right to this inverter, then goes to the electric motor. The conversion, that casting, the size of it is exactly the same. You could take a Model S inverter from the electric motor in the back, and it will drop into place on any of other of their vehicles.
Nice.
Any of them, including the front motor. It is the same. 1 casting. 1. The difference is the electronics and the programming. But there's only 1 casting. Same with their rotors, and same with their on the electric motor, and same with the cases of the electric motors. They are all identical. All identical.
That saves on a lot of parts.
You can imagine.
Right.
You can imagine that the aluminum that is cast, and we'll talk about casting here in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of their competitive advantages, is identical in all the vehicle motors. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he had the foresight in the beginning to do it that way. I find it pure genius, mad genius, in fact. I don't understand how he could have done it, but he did. He worked with a great team of engineers, and there are noted and famous engineers that were involved from Tesla in the beginning and are still there. We know one that left, and he started what company? Lucid Air.
Lucid. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they claim they've got a better motor. We'll have to do a comparison on that. We haven't not yet done one. Now that we know a little bit more about Teslas, we'll have to do a comparison on what the competitive advantages of the Lucid Air electric motor, because remember, their windings are different on the stator. We saw it when we went for the test drive.
That's
It was
true,
on the
we did.
wall.
Mhm.
We talked about it. So, but there was no loose screws in my frunk.
No.
And what's
No.
the frunk? For
That's-
anyone out there that's a newbie, what's
Yeah.
a frunk?
Yeah, it's the front trunk.
Correct.
Yes.
Shortened up for front. There's some nomenclature and lingo
Yes.
that is used in the EV world, and that's what it's called, EV.
Yes.
There are magazines that are made for builders. Did you know, Frank, that you can buy off-the-shelf technology that from a plethora of companies to convert a 65 Mustang into a 300 range mile electric vehicle?
Wow.
People use Teslas. There's that gentleman, I can't think of his name, that we've been trying to get an interview with.
Oh, Rich.
Rich. He did
Mhm.
he put a LT small block Chevy in one.
He did.
He did it. He cut it
Yes.
in half to do it because he had to put a tunnel down there for the drive shaft.
Right.
I thought it was ingenious and interesting. We'd
Yeah.
like to have him as a guest.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be fun?
It would be fun. So I've reached out to him, just waiting from somebody from his staff to get back to
we'll
us.
get him.
Yeah.
We'll get him.
Yeah.
The rest of the time I was we learned about the Model S when I was at the training. It wasn't all on hands-on. It was classroom with slides, presentations. We had fresh meals brought into us. We didn't have to leave. Dinner one night. And
Which is probably good with all the cold and snow.
yeah, it was awful. Yeah, the cold was awful. All I saw was snowplows
Woo.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Even in the middle of the night, they were clearing the driveways and stuff because it was constantly
Sure.
snowing.
Yeah.
You know, on and off.
Yeah, they even had it in New York City.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. It was I think I called it a nor'easter, whatever that was.
Correct. Yes.
That's what it was called.
Yes.
So, a northeastern wind
Yes.
and snow.
Mhm.
So, and all in all, I would say it was well worth it. It inspired every bit of me inside of me to embrace this with a full all on Todd.
Yes.
And if you've noticed, Frank, I have.
Yes.
Does it mean that we've left the rest of our business in the dust and it's only electric? Of course not. This is just an addition.
This is a natural evolution.
Right.
Yes.
We work on diesels. I have passion for diesels. We have passion for gasoline cars, and they're called ICE, by the way, in the EV world. We love them all.
Not
but
because they run cold, but
that's
ICE
right.
it's a
Internal combustion engine.
correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's what it stands for.
Yes.
But it's bad business planning. I've been in business 18 years. For me not to look at this, I'd make myself obsolete if I did.
That's right.
So I have to add things into the business mix
Mhm.
that make sense, that are smart and people want.
Follow the trends.
I've already got a list of
Mhm.
people that want to start bringing their Teslas to me.
See, sure.
It's already started.
Yeah.
And I have an idea, and it hasn't come to fruition yet, and I haven't planned it, but everyone be prepared. I'm going to hold small classes on a Saturday morning or even afternoon for an hour and a half or so, maybe 2, and I'll introduce everyone to Teslas. I'll show you what I know that you might be interested in as a consumer, how to make keys, how to operate it, dash at the fullest extent that you can, the shortcuts and the tricks and the Easter eggs that are hidden throughout the car. I know them. I'll be learning more, and I can't wait to show it to the public. And I think it'll be fun.
Right.
I think people will really enjoy it, and word will spread that it'll be a good place to go on a Saturday. Whether it's early afternoon or morning, we haven't decided. Frank's working into his world that maybe he can be there too. We can't guarantee anything.
Right.
Because it wouldn't be the same without Frank. We just need him. It's the way it works.
Yeah.
So
All
why don't we take a break and we'll come back?
We could do that. Let's see if we can get that rolled up here. And so we thank you for listening. Give us a call at 220-9788. Operators are standing by, and they look a lot like me.
And now,
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
again,
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Or visit us online at crowncarcare.net.
Join the program every Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. or stop by Crown Car Care, Martin Highway in Palm City or Cove Road in Stewart. Crown Car Care in Palm City and Stewart, and Jasper Engines and Transmissions offer a cost-effective solution to your present engine or transmission trouble. Avoid a costly new car purchase or high lease payments by putting new life into your present vehicle. Let Crown Car Care install a Jasper remanufactured engine or transmission with a 3-year, 100,000-mile nationwide warranty and available premium service plan. Call Crown Car Care 772-781-8000. That's 772-781-8000.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jensen Beach, Hope Sound, Martin County's Heritage Station.
Sing the Buick Fauci with built-in GPS that's got you covered wherever you go.
Fauci, I'd like to drive to the bank.
That's a good reason for a mask.
Other GPS systems make driving predictable, but when it comes to giving directions, the Fauci can't make up its mind.
Fauci, take me to Macy's.
I don't think we have enough information to do that, quite honestly.
Driving in bad weather is never an issue because the Fauci doesn't follow the science. It follows the teachers' unions.
Fauci, I need to drop my kid off at school.
I totally disagree with you.
The Buick Fauci, the car that's been locking down the competition for over a year.
Fauci, can you show me how to get to the theater?
Here we go again with the theater. Let's get down to the facts.
Okay.
I've contacted Jasper, by the way, and seen if they're going to be doing any support for out of warranty work with the engines and drivetrains on the Fauci. I haven't heard back.
Okay.
I have not heard
All
back.
right. So news is pending.
News is pending, but I can
Okay.
tell you I have 2 diesel engines from Jasper being installed in our shops and 1 transmission this week.
Nice.
So we use quite a bit of Jasper products are fabulous.
reliable.
The quality's
Mhm.
good.
Right.
And more important, well, that's as important because you have to have good quality to start with, but it's the warranty and how they handle if there's an issue is the icing on the cake.
Service is everything.
It's
And
everything. It's
whether
everything.
it's from your vendors or the end producer,
That's right.
right?
That's
Service
right.
is everything.
Service is everything.
Mhm.
Now, let's talk about the maintenance on a Model 3, and it will be relevant for all the models. Let's talk about what you need to do if you own a Tesla vehicle. All right. The list is kind of long, but not too bad. Each power unit needs to have its oil changed as well as a filter. So it needs an oil and filter,
Each one.
each unit. So the car that I have is a Model 3 Extended Range 2022. So that has 2 filters and 2 oils to be drained and refilled. How often? I don't know, 30, 40,000 miles. So probably you go 2 to 3 times the distance before you would need a service, but you do need them.
Mhm.
And there's a filter, external filter. It looks just like an oil filter on a regular vehicle.
Yeah, neat.
And ice, okay? That's first thing you have to do. Second thing is
And it's just, I don't mean to interrupt
no,
you,
please.
but I am. So, what type of oil is it? Is it
it's
proprietary oil?
It is a
Mhm.
proprietary
Mhm.
designed by them.
Right.
There is, with anything, you have a materials like handling sheet that has to divulge what is actually in it. And apparently there are some standards that go across the automotive industry. So there are aftermarket ones that are available. I
Oh,
have not experimented with anything,
no.
so I'm
Yeah, yeah.
strictly sticking with Tesla. And I
we're
think
not
it's
going to experiment with your car.
no,
No.
But, and I don't have enough data.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's not good. I don't have data on it.
Right.
So therefore I can't recommend it or use it
Right.
because I know if I use Teslas, I won't have an issue.
Correct.
Could you save money with an aftermarket? Oh, probably. I don't know. We're not there yet.
Right.
But I can tell you this, because if I don't have facts and data on it firsthand, we're not using it.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I believe it's the right way to operate. Okay. It's a spin-on oil filter. Spin-on. It's not a cartridge. And you can see it. It looks just like where it would be if you crawl under my car, if you can. And you can't really crawl under it. It's so low. But if you could, you would
Yeah.
see a filter on both ends.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So,
All right.
and the capacity is like 6 or 7 quarts.
Wow.
Fair amount.
Okay.
So oil
A
and
lot.
filter.
Yeah.
Oil and
Okay.
filter. Okay.
All right.
The front of the radiator. Because cooling is so paramount because of the battery, because of the drive units that are electric motors, cooling's paramount. There is a tendency on all vehicles to have an accumulation of dirt and leaves and things build up on the front of the radiator. This has a radiator.
Sure.
It's located in the front. Okay.
Makes
and it's
sense.
at an angle. It's at probably a 45-degree angle, so it has a big surface area to catch stuff, and it
Okay.
needs to be cleaned. You pull out the frunk, which is a plastic insert, and you can get to it, and then there's a shielding or shroud that goes around the front of the radiator. You remove that, and you clean it with air. The buildup is huge. It needs to be done. It's critical, more so than on a regular vehicle.
Okay.
So the front of the radiator needs to be cleaned. The brake fluid needs to be exchanged and serviced. Yeah, I would say every 3 years. Every 3 years. I'm not doing it on mine. Mileage-wise, there's 50,000 on mine. It needs to be done. Hands down, needs to be done. It's black. I can see it. I've looked at it.
Oof.
It needs to be serviced.
Yeah.
Put fresh fluid in. What you do is you use a fluid exchanger, and you end up taking out the old as fast as you're putting in the new. And it totally changes it out.
Kind of like an IV.
Yeah, and you've bled out the whole system.
Right.
It's fresh.
Right.
Water, brake fluid absorbs water, and it gets dirty. And on this car, it's critical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so brake fluid service. Cooling system. I think we talked about Octovalve.
Yes.
And on the Tesla,
Octoman.
Octoman is a
Yes.
little Easter egg that I can show everyone on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
We'll leave it at that. But the cooling system needs to be completely exchanged or flushed. People used to call it flush. I don't know if the word really is flush. I think exchange is a better noun to describe it. I think you could be misrepresenting what it is. You're not really flushing it.
Right.
Not like a heater core in the old days. You'd flush it out.
Right. It used to end up on the garage floor.
Right. That would be a
Yes.
flush. This
Yes.
is an exchange.
Yes.
Taking it out as fast as you're putting it in.
Mhm.
Okay. So you take it out. The process of putting it in is a little bit more complicated. You have to have the Tesla 3 toolbox, Toolbox 3, which is through the internet to Tesla. You have to have a subscription to it to be able to fill it. There's a fill procedure. It's time consuming. It's a couple hours. Critical though. All your heat for the cabin comes from that. All your air conditioning comes from that. All the cooling for the electric motors is involved in that 8-valve system. Very technically advanced and quite reliable, actually. I've heard some reports of some leaks, and that's okay. Nothing made by man is perfect.
Everything breaks. Yes.
Everything breaks, but it's a well-designed system.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, it all the critical functions are controlled by this one system. So that is why it's so important. So you've got the cooling system service, and that would involve antifreeze. And they use, I believe it's an oat-based, which is organic-based, proprietary, of course, but it has a number and a materials handling description. So there's aftermarket. But then again, do we want to use the aftermarket? I'm not ready to experiment yet. Factory only. AC service needs to be done. The AC, which is a heat pump on the new 2022s and forward, it's a heat pump system. It's not just an air conditioner. So you no longer need a cabin heater, which one of the complaints of Teslas is it would suck up the electricity in the cold weather. Starting in 2022, they use a heat pump, and it doesn't do that anymore. So we have some
great
corrections on some of our past shows.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we talked about it. In 2022 and forward, they do not use a PTC heater. And for all you people out there, PTC is positive temperature coefficient heater, which is nothing but a big electric toaster. It does not use those anymore.
Good.
They're not available. It's not there. It uses a reverse heat pump.
Yes.
So,
and those are very efficient.
And we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
He redesigned it. He's changed the game on heat pumps, by the way. Everything he does, he reinvents and redesigns, and it's leading in the industry. He actually now, once I've heard an interview with him, he wants to get into using requirement for heat pumps in all new construction and homes. It'll drop heating and cooling costs by 30% across the country. And he says he can do it hands down.
I believe it.
Interesting, isn't it?
Right.
He also owns the company Solar City, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
I think you know, which is
I
a
think
solar.
his
His brother.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Yep.
So we talked AC service needs to be done. It uses that RYF 1234, which is a newer, less damaging gas freon to the atmosphere in our Earth. Cabin air filters need to be exchanged and serviced. They are two of them. There's different types available. They're very critical in the cabin. Many people that own Teslas are very conscious of pollution and things of that nature, and there are available. Now, this is where I would use aftermarket. There are aftermarket HEPA-rated cabin air filters on these that are marvelous, that actually have a whole layer of carbon in them.
Oh, wow.
I think I'm going to get some for mine because mine are original. They haven't been changed. It's a process.
So the location of the cabin filters is
up under the dash, 2 of them, but you have to take apart quite a bit of stuff.
To get to.
Yeah,
To get
quite
to
a bit
it.
of service. It's a real service. It's not
Yeah.
just a poop see in
Yeah.
and out. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
an hour-long service
Wow.
to do them, but there's 2 of them. I would probably do them every year.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Alignments need to be done on it. Alignments are critical on these. Due to the weight of the vehicle, alignments do seem to get changed over time,
Mm.
and that will affect tire wear and mileage.
Especially the strips on the road that control your speed, so that when you're driving along, they have the speed bumps.
Yes, that affects alignment big time. Yes. People always ask that question. The answer is hands down, yes.
Yeah. So you want to almost, if you can, step over those.
And toe is what usually goes out the measurement
Yes.
on the car,
Mhm,
and that will
mhm.
dramatically affect tire wear and range
Mm-hmm.
because you're scrubbing the road is basically if it's pigeon toed or penguin toed.
Okay.
Either way, you're sucking up energy by friction,
Oh, yeah.
which is creating heat and tire wear, and you're leaving your mark on the road, rubber. What happens when an alignment's out on a vehicle?
Oof.
You wear your tires, but you're leaving the rubber on the road. And that would be a great show. Where is all the rubber going?
Yes.
Think about that, Frank.
Oh, yes. Goes into the
Ground and earth around the roads.
It goes into the water system, basically.
Yes, it does. Because the road, when tires wear, they don't just wear and it doesn't go anywhere.
And there's another thing that listeners should pay attention to. If it's been dry for several days or a week or two, which is sometimes happens here in Florida,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of a rain, the roads become slick because of all that tire dust on the
rubber.
road.
Yes. Yeah.
On the road. And so it's kind of like driving over little marbles,
Yep.
And so that's going to make your ride a little slipperier. So you want to take extra care. Don't, just because the speed limit says it's 45, you don't have to go 45. You may want to choose a lower speed until you're sure that you got enough traction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. I'm going to do some research on what happens to all the rubber dust. It's huge.
Yes.
It's got to be huge.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendous amounts.
Goes into the wastewater system. Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
But there's some things we can help control with technology and information and better management of our environment and our roads. And I don't know if there's any solutions to that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds ugly to me.
Well, hopefully it's big.
Well, they are coming out with tires that wear less.
Right.
We've got airless tires and different compounds. So who knows? Maybe they'll come up with a tire that's actually
Graphene.
not damaging to the environment if it's exposed to it.
Right.
Right? It wears and it doesn't matter. It's organic and it's good for the environment. Fertilizer, I don't know, something. They'll come up with something.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down. And the last thing that needs to be done is the tire rotations.
Mm-hmm.
Those are everything that needs to be done maintenance-wise on a Tesla. Quite a bit. And that's why we're going to be doing it at Crown Car Care. And I will be coming up with a menu of items and prices so everyone will be fully aware and transparent on it.
Nice. All right. This is our last time out, so stick with us. We have a lot more to cover when we return. Give Todd a call at 781-8000 or give us a call here in the studio at 220-9788.
This is a great...
Technologies. Through the Rural and Agricultural Income and Savings from Renewable Energy Initiative, USDA is setting an initial goal of helping 400 individual farmers deploy smaller-scale wind projects using USDA's Rural Energy for America program. The goal is only possible because of President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, which provided more than $144 million in grant funding for underutilized technologies through the REAP program. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack says these investments will create long-lasting economic benefits for their families, businesses, and communities for years to come. Additionally, the Energy Department announced $4 million in related funding, including $2.5 million to support distributed wind technologies for the agricultural sector. I'm Sabrina Halverson for the Southeast AgNet.
WSTU Stewart.
Stock Showdown! This Saturday night at Detroit Trackway,
Plymouth and Chrysler Corporation fans will be cheering for the #1 car in the country, Ronnie Sox and Buddy Martin in the Sox and Martin Plymouth.
Chevrolet and General Motors fans will be cheering for their man, the fastest Chevrolet in the United States, the 427 Camaro of Bill Grumpy Jenkins.
Dodge fans will be cheering for a brand new super stock, the all-new Dodge Challenger super stock of the Ram Chargers.
Detroit area Chevy lovers will see the fast-rising Camaro Superstock of Mike Bond.
Ford enthusiasts are counting on the 429 Maverick of Fast Eddie Shartman.
Pontiac fans cheering for Arnie Beswick.
Bill Jenkins taking on Ronnie Sox and the Ram Chargers.
A wide-open professional Superstock showdown with everybody there.
Saturday night, 8 p.m. at Detroit Trackway. Simply at
All right.
People drag races,
I'm going to
Teslas.
be there. Yeah. Oh, I've seen so many videos.
I think that guy that we were talking about at Electrified Garage has done it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I believe he has. He's raced some.
You know, I was musing. Funny you should mention that. I was musing while I was watching the video that we just played of those cars, how they would do against your Tesla today.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting?
It
I think
would.
it would lose.
I think they would lose, but they were the best power-driven vehicles of their day.
Here's some great statistics that will be interesting. And, you know, data is always trailing.
Yes.
It's hard to get it. So the first 9 months of 2022, the #1 selling was the Model Y. Number 2 was the Model 3. And number 3, surprisingly, and caught my attention, was the Mach-E.
Yes.
But the numbers are shocking. 200,000, 200,000, and then 28,000 for number 3 in terms of units sold. First quarter of 22, 70% of all vehicles sold electric were Teslas. Interesting.
Right.
Very interesting.
So they have more than 2/3 of the market.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost
Very-
80%.
And I don't
Yeah.
see it changing.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy an electric car and you want to get, you buy a Tesla. But there's other cars that are good. I'm not knocking.
Oh, sure.
Hyundai's got one. Ford has the F-150. But if you really want a full-size truck, it would be the F-150.
Right.
Or the Cybertruck. But I believe from a commercial standpoint, the F-150, if you're running a business, looks a little bit more like a pickup truck, and it does act like a pickup truck. So the F-150 would be my choice.
Yes.
If I was running a business and I needed a true pickup truck,
Yes.
be the F-150.
Yep.
Lightning, by the way, is what its name is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is unboxing?
Yeah.
Frank,
What
do you
is
have
that?
any idea what that is? It's
Well, it
it's
sounds like you're uncrating something. But
it
that's,
is. When I think of unboxing, I think of YouTube videos where people are buying something on mail order and they open it up. That's what unboxing
Yeah,
is. That's
yeah.
what they use. There's quite a few videos that people that do that on
Right.
YouTube. Unboxing is a manufacturing technique. I'll give you the biggest example. Traditionally, when a car is built,
Mhm.
it is painted. The body is painted with all the panels on it. Right? What unboxing is referring to is the removing of the subsections and building them completely and then finally assembling at the end. Whereas a car traditionally on the assembly line is not done that way. The car is painted as one piece
Right.
in Detroit.
Right.
Ford Mustang. I have a Shelby, so it was done. The body was all built and it was painted. The Tesla products are panel painted and assembled. So what they're doing
Like a cabinetry.
What they're doing is one assembly line could be both the Model Y and the Model 3. And in one substation towards the end would be what makes the change.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have assembly lines and it saves about 30%. It's big. It's a big number. It's so big that
Yeah.
I don't know if anything could touch it. And it makes you so ahead of the game that it would, I don't know what you'd have to have government subsidies from your competition to even compete on price. It's just, or they just make more profit. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't analyzed that.
Wow.
You know, is Tesla now lowering the entry fee of the vehicle once they start embracing these technologies, or is it just capital investment return back to the shareholders because of these reduced costs? I don't know. Or is it a combination of both, which is what I suspect? Okay.
All
Because
right.
you could make something cheaper and keep your same price, just
Sure.
more money for the shareholders.
Yeah.
Which is a publicly traded company, it's Tesla. So unboxing is a technique that nobody uses but Tesla. And there is no discrimination in assembly lines. They can build multiple models on the same assembly line because of the unboxing style or technique of the substations that make the vehicle, ultimately assembled at the end.
So there's a computer robot that brings each workstation the parts as needed. So it's
Yes,
there's
there's
a
less
master
humans.
computer.
There's
Yeah.
less humans too.
So it's a master computer that knows what to put where and when.
Right, but the body is like the door would be painted differently than the front fender. Now you have to have under control your paint. I used to own a body shop, and airflow, temperature, distance from the panel makes a difference. And if you're going to panel paint, you have to have it dialed in because you're not doing the whole car. You have to match them up and just hope and pray it works.
And
apparently, it does.
And it does. I mean, I look at your car.
You can't.
It
does.
It looked like it was all painted at the same time.
It was not.
Yeah.
Okay. That's unboxing.
Okay.
And it's big. People say they're 10 years ahead of everybody else. Here's another thing they talk about. He has done casting. And it's hard to understand and describe. Okay. Think of a matchbox. If you look at a matchbox or a Hot Wheel car, the underside of the matchbox or Hot Wheel was cast. It's cast metal. They use pot metal, which is a mixture of zinc and some other odd metals.
Okay.
Okay. So think of a Hot Wheel. Look at a Hot Wheel if you've got kids to have one.
Okay.
Or go out and look at the store at Walmart. Look how the underside is. It's cast, C-A-S-T. Okay. They pour liquid aluminum into these gigantic gigapresses, and they make entire sections of the underside of the car in one casting. It eliminates 300 to 400 individual parts.
Wow, 300 to 400.
100. It's fact. That's fact. Wow. It's real. With a giant casting. Cuts the price to another 30% you're saving. So it's just the numbers are so big. It's
staggering.
I don't know how anyone else could compete. And they're not. People answer with their pocketbook on what they buy.
Right.
And it seems to me people are answering with buying Teslas. It seems to be a revolution. And I believe we're in on the ground floor with it. And we've been talking about this for years.
We've been dancing around it.
But now we're on it.
Right.
Took me to go to the class and buy one.
So we haven't talked about the radio.
Oh. Talk to me. Ask me some questions.
So tell me about the sound system, Todd. What does that sound like?
Sounds like you're in a concert hall.
Wow.
Now, my stereo in the Model 3 extended range has a premium stereo standard that is mind-bending. It's that good.
Okay.
You can control things. And I'm not even talking about the information system.
Right.
That might be, do you know you can watch Netflix and TV while you're charging your Tesla on your screen? It's already built in. Built in. This isn't something you got to download. It's built in as an app. It's right there. You push the button. Well, it touches the screen. Okay. So the stereo system is premium. And that kind of was an Easter egg for me.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it. Now, the standard range Model 3 does not have it still has a good system, but it's not the sound system of the extended range model. All extended range models have the premium sound. And I'd argue if people heard it, they'd buy the extended range, even though there's price premium. And we'll talk about it maybe next week. That extended range has a different battery than the standard range.
Oh, they got the 86.
We'll have to get all the facts on it because I can't. I know from a bigger perspective the difference, but I can't give you like the code words and the numbers and names of each one. I do know it, but it's not on the top of my head. I have to dig it out. I've written it down in my notes. But basically, the bottom line is on the extended range in general, if you're doing around town, you only want to charge it to 80%. The standard rear motor Model 3 and Model Y, you can charge to 100% all the time, and it likes it. That's it in a nutshell.
Well,
and getting into the meats and potatoes of it, it's a different compound in the battery. So there you have it.
All right.
So, and the casting advantage, I'll tell you, we have about a minute or two left. I will tell you, the casting has one downside.
Okay.
You get into an accident. Think about that.
Ooh.
Yeah. There's a downside.
Okay.
There's a downside. We have to talk about it because if we're not being fair
Right.
and honest.
Fair enough. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens?
You would have to replace the entire section, which could be more costly and more involved. And I haven't done a comparison of price, but I can tell you that is the downside. It's big. Now if you get into a fender bender, you can replace some of the subunits easily, right? But if you damage that giant casting piece, you're not up a creek. It's different. You're not fixing it. You're replacing it. And
Wow.
are they replacing it? I'm finding that many Teslas and electric cars are being totaled due to ignorance.
Really?
Oh my gosh, that's a whole 4 subject matter, 4 shows on. We should talk about that.
There's a whole bunch of Teslas I know that are up in Fort Pierce in some sort of boneyard.
Oh, really?
Used Teslas.
What?
We should.
We got a road trip up there and go there.
We need to just acquire maybe 1 or 2 and put one together like Rich does.
Absolutely, and we'll calm down and have him give us his blessings on it.
Yeah.
Perfect. How much time? We're close to 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah. So casting technology has changed the game with everybody. And he's offering that technology. I think Toyota's involved with them now.
Mm-hmm.
Look it up. We'll have to look it up. But Toyota is starting to do the giga casting, giant casting.
Well, sure.
And I believe it's come from Tesla. Tesla has opened up. Remember, one of the criticisms that I've had for years on Teslas is he hoards knowledge and doesn't share it. Maybe this whole thing's been a plan. He's unleashing it at light speed to everybody. He's not hoarding technology anymore. He's sharing it. And maybe, like I said, maybe it was a plan, or he listened to our show. I don't know. One of the two. I'd like to take credit for it, but I don't think I can. It's just foreshadowing. And my other foreshadowing has been the government needs to push out the signal information about the roads. Instead of me acquiring it in my car, it needs to be given to me.
Yes.
Big difference.
Yes. So what do you think? You think we'll go up to Fort Pierce then? We'll pick up 1 or 2 used Tesla, crashed Teslas.
Yeah.
Right?
I got a big truck, diesel truck. We'll drag them out of there.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Could be fun.
Could be, I think we'll have to do it.
Could be a project.
It could be a project, and
we'll have to do a YouTube channel of our own.
Yeah. Crown's Garage, EV Garage.
I like it.
Perfect.
Right.
Everyone have a great afternoon, and thank you for listening.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
refused to halt collection of Trump's $454 million civil fraud penalty while they appeals that case, though he will still be allowed to conduct business in the state and secure loans from New York banks, which could help him secure the bond. House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer have announced they have reached a deal to advance spending bills next month for the next fiscal year, avoiding a partial government shutdown. Earlier today, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell announced this will be his last term in his leadership role, saying Father Time remains undefeated.
I'm no longer the young man sitting in the back, hoping colleagues would remember my name. It's time for the next generation of leadership.
Bill McConnell, who is 82, said he will remain in the Senate through the end of his term in 2027. In the statement, President Biden said Mitch has lived the American dream, overcoming polio, and ongoing to become the longest-serving Senate leader in American history. Jill and I wish the best to Mitch and Elaine. America's listening to Fox News.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Details are set for Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny.
Alexei Navalny's friends have struggled to find a place to pay their respects. According to his spokeswoman, one potential location admitted they've been banned from hosting. But a funeral venue has been found, a church in southeastern Moscow, followed by a burial at a cemetery nearby. Some of his allies accuse the Russian state of directly causing his death. Many Western leaders say they hold President Vladimir Putin responsible. Russian authorities say the cause of death is still unknown and reject those accusations. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
The FDA says fast food packaging and wrappers that contain so-called forever chemicals are no longer being sold in the U.S. after a voluntary recall effort with food manufacturers to phase out packaging that has contact with food that's made with PFAs, which can harm humans' health. The FDA entered the agreement to phase out the packaging in 2020. A massive recall from Chrysler.
The automaker reports a steering wheel issue has forced them to recall more than 330,000 Jeep Grand Cherokees. Chrysler says the problem may cause drivers to lose control of their vehicles. The models included in the recall are the 2021 to 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee L and 2022 to 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee vehicles. Chrysler says the upper control arm bowl joint and steering knuckle may separate and cause the steering wheel to fall outward, which could result in losing control of the vehicle and increase the risk of crashing. Drivers can take their vehicles to the dealer for free repairs. CJ Papa, Fox News.
Officials in Dubuque County, Iowa are trying to track down more than $524,000 after an employee transferred it after getting an email from what they thought was the city of Dyersville. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
It's time for WPTV's First Alert Weather from the WPTV News Channel 5 newsroom. Now with 7 meteorologists covering the Treasure and Gold Coasts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.